Now let's take a look at the top stories in the news this evening. President Muhammadu Buhari returns to Nigeria after Aswan Forum in Egypt. The federal government to stop the importation of petrol by the year 2023. Abdul Razak inaugurates cabinet 7 months after inauguration, and world leaders react to Boris Johnson's British election victory. We'll bring you the details of those and more shortly.
Nigeria Info, your number one for news. Always spot on, fresh and direct on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Hello there, great evening to you. Thank you for staying with us. And now, here's the news in detail. I am Godwin Asuquo. The President, Muhammadu Buhari, on Friday returned to Abuja, the nation's capital. After his trip to Egypt, the President was in Egypt to attend the Aswan Forum on Peace and Sustainable Development in Africa. The forum was held between midweek Wednesday, December the 11th, and Thursday, December the 12th. President Buhari, on the sideline of the forum, met with his Egyptian counterpart, Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, and they both pledged to eradicate terrorism in parts of Africa. The federal government had set the year 2023 as deadline to stop the importation of petrol into the country. The group managing director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, Mele Kyari, stated this while signing the Condensate Refinery Strategy Program Front-End Engineering Design. The strategy is expected to deliver 20 million litres of petrol when completed. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Muhammad Tanko Ibrahim, has charged judges in the country to always respect their oath of office by being just and fair in the discharge of the judicial functions. He said that as judges accountable to God for their deeds, they must ensure that they dispense justice with honesty and transparency to everyone. The CJN met the call at the inauguration of Justice John Toh as the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court and Justice Benedict Kanyep as the President of the National Industrial Court. He urged them to live up to the expectations of Nigerians. Meanwhile, Professor Chidi Odinkalu has described the present leadership of the national body of the Nigerian Bar Association as a toothless bulldog. Professor Odinkalu made the assertion in Lagos while speaking as a keynote speaker at the NBA's 2019 Human Rights Summit tagged Youth Standing Up for Human Rights, the Case for Nigeria. Odinkalu, a former chairman of the National Human Rights Commission, also said the recent silence of the present leadership of the bar shows it has been compromised. He described the manner Omoyele Sowore was rearrested by the DSS as a dangerous situation and a desecration of the judicial system.
I believe the judiciary has an important role to play in this country as the last hope of the common man. The judiciary has to be firm, fair, and courageous, and must not employ any form of double standards. It is not right, in my view, to regard or treat courts of justice as an extension of the Federal Ministry of Justice. I cannot condone any attempt to destroy the judicial system in this country.
Meanwhile, the Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, has ordered the Department of State Services to hands off the prosecution of the convener of Revolution Now protest, Omoyele Sowore. The AGF, in a statement today, said he directed the security agencies to forward Showore's case file to his office. Malami further directed the Federal Minister of Justice to immediately take over the prosecution of all charges against Sowore. He said the federal government was committed to respecting the sanctity of the rule of law, protecting the virtues of human rights, and ensuring speedy dispensation of justice in the matter. The Lagos State Emergency Management Agency has urged Lagosians to stop attempting to take advantage of disasters for their personal gain. The Director General of LASEMA, Dr. Olufemi Oke Osonitolu, made the call today while reacting to attempts by residents to scoop pilling fuel from a fallen tanker along Ozumambadiwe Way in Victoria Island.
Our response was swift, prompt, effective, and efficient. But it is pertinent to note that while we are doing all this, there are some people that want to scoop petrochemical products. We are appealing to the citizens of the state. They should not scoop or disturb emergency responders while we are working. Ours is to ensure safety of life and property.
The tanker carrying about 33,000 litres of diesel fell on Friday, spilling its contents. The road was immediately cordoned off to allow unhindered safe rescue operations by officers of the Lagos State Fire Service and the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, as well as the police. And now let's take you to Edo State, where the government has banned all political rallies and demonstrations in that state. Well, this announcement comes barely 24 hours after a protest by some youths who set up bonfires at some strategic locations in the capital city, Benin, leading to increased political tensions. The government of Edo State, in a statement signed by the secretary to the state government, Osaudion Oge, said the decision to place the ban followed alleged plans by some mischief makers to organize an unauthorized political rally in the city. According to him, the rally is capable of leading to breakdown of public peace and also endangering lives and property of Edo citizens. Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka has described the huge amount paid as pension to ex-governors as an open robbery of Nigerians. Speaking on our current affairs program Public Square on 99.3 Nigeria Info Lagos, Professor Soyinka condemned the practice of elected officials becoming career politicians. He urged them to return to the professions they were engaged in before their political positions.
It's a personal thing, because till today, I haven't got my pension. Many people look at me, they will say, oh, he doesn't need it anyway. That's not the issue, whether I need it or not. The fact remains, and I do need it, by the way, but objectively speaking, why should somebody who had his own profession and who, even while he's governor, does not destroy whatever he was doing before? Let's say he was a former professor. He can go back to being a professor. He can still collect his pension, if he's over the age for the work he's done. Some kind of severance, token, appreciative donation, I don't mind. But this is robbery. What is going on right now in states is sheer robbery. Even the pension of former heads of state require looking into. It's exorbitant. And I've always said this. It is exorbitant. It is not necessary.
The full interview with Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka can be viewed on our website, www.nigeriainfo.fm, or on our YouTube channel, Nigeria Info 99.3. Still ahead on the news, we'll bring you shortly foreign news, entertainment, and sports.
This is Morning Ogola reporting live from the Lagos State House alongside Keja Clementine Okonye reporting from the Nigerian Stock Exchange.
Joy Kalu reporting live from the Murtala Mohammed International Airport.
For news that's close to home, hear it first on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Up to the minute news that matters to you. Our reporters are always on the go, bringing it as it happens.
The lawmakers have decided to work with the executive for the development of Lagos State. Babatunde Pratt reporting. It has been 5 days of band screening and confirmation at the Senate. Judges McNaughton reporting.
Listen to the major news every day, 6 a.m., 12 noon, 3 p.m., and 6 p.m. live on 99.3 Nigeria Info. And now, the foreign news. Foreign news.
The United States President Donald Trump says Boris Johnson's election as British Prime Minister means the United States will be free to strike a massive new trade deal with Brexit. Johnson's Conservative Party earlier today secured majority after Thursday's election. In his reaction, the President of the European Council, Charles Michel, said the EU is ready to negotiate a free trade agreement with Britain, but called on London to work in good faith. He said the EU hoped for quick British parliamentary vote on withdrawal from the bloc. German Chancellor Angela Merkel also said she looks forward to working with Boris Johnson for the friendship and strong cooperation between both nations.
Take it away with the entertainment news.
The director of a French theatre, Jean-Pierre Barrault, has resigned the day after his staff went on strike, asking him to quit over the fallout from a rape allegation. Barrault, the first major theatre figure to be hit by the Me Too movement in France, denied assaulting a colleague in 2011 and the police dropped the case for lack of proof. Barrow, one of the few black men at the head of a French culture institution, made his name with a stage adaptation of J.M. Coetzee's novel Disgrace about South African university professor accused of sexually harassing a student.
And now, updates on the sports news.
Now let's take a look at sports. Former Nigerian footballer Philip Osondu has died in Belgium at the age of 48. The former striker died after taking himself to the hospital to be examined. Osondu played regularly for the youth teams of Nigeria, but never reached the first team. In 1987, he participated in the World's Under-16 tournament in Canada. Nigeria reached the finals, but then lost on penalties to the Soviet Union. He got the World Cup Golden Ball as best player of the tournament.
This is Maureen Ogola reporting live from the Lagos State House alongside Keja Clementine Okonye reporting from the Nigerian Stock Exchange.
Joy Kalu reporting live from the Murtala Mohammed International Airport.
For news that's close to home, hear it first on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Up to the minute news that matters to you. Our reporters are always on the go, bringing it as it happens.
The lawmakers have decided to work with the executive for the development of Lagos State. Babatunde Pratt reported. It has been 5 days of band screening and confirmation at the Senate. Judges McNaughton reported.
Listen to the major news every day, 6 a.m., 12 noon, 3 p.m., and 6 p.m. Live on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Take a look at the headlines in the news now. President Muhammadu Buhari on Friday returned to Abuja, the nation's capital, after his trip to Egypt. The federal government has set a 2023 deadline to stop the importation of petrol into the country. Kwara State Governor Abdurrahman Abdurrazak on Friday inaugurated 16-member cabinet and 4 special advisors 7 months after he assumed office on May the 29th. And on the phone scene, we told you that British Prime Minister Boris Johnson's Conservative Party has secured majority in a landslide election victory. That's the news edited by Jomai Sek. Thank you for listening. As usual, I am Godwin Asuquo. Remember, the news continues online on our website, www.nigeriainfo.fm, and on social media, our Twitter handle is at NigeriaInfoFM. Thank you for listening.